Let's talk Bank of America. Sharing personal info to the feds and a push for a cashless society. Now, this was brought up by a viewer commented on our page, wanted us to talk about this, about Bank of America sharing personal info and the push for a cashless society. I think the exact comment was he was a little confused by it. So let's
the cashless society part.
Well, I think both of it. Like why? First, let's talk about the whole. I got some notes here. Let me find them. Here we go. On Bank of America, they after the January 6th debacle at the Capitol, apparently they did an audit or whatever, and they found 211 people who had used their credit cards or bank cards in and around the Capitol days prior to January 6th and January 6th. They've used their cards for lodging and food, and I guess so I don't know if there was a subpoena, because banks do have to, if you're a victim or a suspect and the police say, hey, we need to get bank records to confirm their whereabouts, or see if their card has been used, if we can find a missing person or whatever. Banks have to comply with that if there's a subpoena. Now, as of today, I have not heard, and this is a month later, if there was a subpoena or not. But it almost seems like Bank of America, and I may be wrong, but it sounds to me from everything that I've read, that Bank of America went, oh, look at these people. We noticed, we went and looked, and they were there. Maybe it was one of them. Maybe one of them was there and just gave their information away. None of these people were aware that their information was being turned over and released by the bank.
Which is illegal for the bank to do, just in case we didn't know that.
Yeah, I think unless there's a subpoena.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're...
confirmation of a subpoena. No,
if you're a murder suspect or a murder victim of some sort, and the police have to have a subpoena to present to the bank to get your information, to get your record, transaction history, any of that. They have to...
That's after they already consider you a suspect.
Yeah.
So if someone who looked like me, sounded like me, was at the Capitol, and then somebody saw me on Facebook and went, hey, that was the guy. I think that was the guy who was at the Capitol building kicking doors or whatever in the hell it was. Yeah. Then the police could say, okay, he's a suspect or a person of interest. Subpoena my bank records to see if I was in that area. I get that.
Yeah, but this is not.
You can't tell me that 211 people were suspects, didn't know about it, and their information was turned over.
And according to this article on February 6th, out of the 211, one has been interviewed by the authorities. So
that means, that person probably wasn't even a suspect to begin with, but maybe had a little more transactions in the area than the others, and they went, well, let's go ahead and just question them.
But the fact that they give out your personal information that easily like it says, in a fishing expedition to find people that were in the area, may not even have been in the area for anything having to do with, what went on at the Capitol. They could have been in the area, staying in a hotel, getting money from ATMs, for a simple vacation or a business trip or anything. And the banks just say, here, we got all these people that look like they were in the area. See what you can find out about all these.
Yeah,
that's illegal as fuck.
And, I don't use Bank of America, thank God.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't. But I'm, I hope my bank would never do that. Not that, not without a subpoena anyway, or a reason to turn over my records.
Absolutely. I mean, if you don't have a subpoena, you're not supposed to be able to get the records, period. And for Bank of America to just offer this up, and it almost, some of it almost makes it seem like they were just like, here, check these people out,
Right.
And then the police were like, that's a good idea. Since they did it, they gave us the information. So that probably made it legal on some wavelength that Bank of America offered up the information.
I'm sure there's a loophole there that they could use. should there be any backlash, any more backlash. A lot of people are pissed.
So the backlash would probably be only come to Bank of America, not the police agencies that were involved in it. And I guess, at the end of the day, Bank of America would be the one that needs to be punished for it.
You need to answer questions to your customers. Why in the hell did you give out their information? If I was any one of those 211 people, I'd be closing my damn accounts yesterday.
Oh yeah,
and moving on. And I wouldn't be surprised if a whole lot of people leave Bank of America who weren't even involved in those 211 people just because of what happened.
Just because of what they did. I mean, if you have a cable account or something and they throw your information out for somebody else to get, and not necessarily in the legal way, and I have use that same company, if they did that to you, I'm going to go ahead. Let me go on and get the hell out of the way before they do me like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope there's major backlash towards Bank of America, because the big banks think they run this world and they can do what the hell they want to do when they want to do it.
Yeah, well, that's bullshit. Now I was reading on the coin shortage. And a lot of places, I understand a lot of people don't want to spend cash right now. Because let's face it, that's probably the dirtiest thing in the world, is cash money.
Yeah.
Never gets washed.
No.
I mean, always exchanging hands. It's in, could be 100 different places in a day. So when all this coronavirus shit started, people weren't spending cash. They weren't shopping.
No.
So coins weren't circulating. And then everybody goes back to buying. And yes, there is going to be a coin shortage. That makes sense. But I think going to a cashless society, I don't know. I don't usually carry a lot of cash.
Man, can't remember the last time I had cash in my...
But when I do, I always spend less when I'm paying cash. It's hard to break a 20. I don't know, for me... And a lot of people, but big businesses, of course, they want you to spend. They want you to use your card. There was a study. You're more likely to spend more money when you're using digital currency than you are.
And the more money you spend, the more it makes sense for them to have to pay for using the card.
The more you spend with them, that's bigger kickbacks, more fees to the banks. Use your debit card. That's fine. You got money in the bank, but. The thing about Ramsey was saying, when you get paid, your boss doesn't hand you a pile of cash.
No.
You wake up and you got a direct deposit, and there it is. And sure, it's great. But I think that should be your option.
Now, is this more of a Bitcoin type cashless society, or just the fact that people aren't using cash?
I'm talking about, no cash whatsoever. And I think that needs to be the consumer's choice. The retailer needs to always be able to accept cash.
Yes.
And the consumer needs to have that ability to use cash.
Yes.
Simply put, it's their choice. I think going to should not, and I haven't heard any rumblings or anything where the government says, "Oh, we're gonna convert to a cashless society." I haven't heard anything about that. If it's out there, send me a link or something. But I hadn't found anything. But I think it's silly to do that. I think it's foolish to do that.
Well, I feel like I don't know.
I mean, we're almost already there.
They made such a big deal out of the coin shortage, and everybody made such a big fuss that if you go in a store and it's got posted on the door, we don't have any change, so you must have exact change, and you don't have exact change, but you continue in that store and you go and get your $1.50 drink, and you give them $2 and they don't have 50 cents. That's on you. That's on you.
Well, yeah, that's on you.
I mean, I go into a store there. I can recall a couple times during that big part of the coin shortage where I'd gone into a store and spent $10.15 and just had to give them the $1. The rest of that, that 85 cents, because it said it on the door and I didn't have anything but cash in my pocket. So, oh well, it is what it is.
Now, a lot of places, what I've seen, Not so much down here in the South, but up north, a lot of places like Wawa and bigger chains.
What the hell is that?
It's a convenience store up north.
They'll take and they'll ask you. In some cases, they'll round it down.
I think if it's under like 50 cents,
Yeah.
they'll round it down and they don't worry about it. But if it's over, a lot of times they'll ask you, do you want to donate your change
See, that's what they
To,
all do.
to a cause or whatever, and then you do, and it just rounds it up to the next buck. And that I think, and that's where they.
Well, that's like
they help.
that's like the McDonald's thing where they've always had the little box at the window where you throw your spare change, or they ask you, do you want to donate your change? Round up and donate to. They should do. Everybody should do that anyway.
I can't recall a single time where I've said no. I want my 36 cents back. No, fucking take it. I don't give a shit.
No, I mean, if anything, what is it going to? St. Jude or something like that? I mean,
It's going somewhere good. It's going somewhere good.
Please take that 25 cents.
Yeah, I think that's a retailer strategy right there, because not only does it make it easier on the consumer.
I wonder how many of those things. I wonder how many of those places actually get that money though.
What do you mean?
I mean, you could
Actually donate the
You
money?
and I could have a convenience store and put a jar on the counter that says, for, MS research.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm
And
sure
all the
there's
people put the money in there. How much? Does that money really go? Does it really go there?
when you got these bigger chains that are doing it. Yes, absolutely.
McDonald's and stuff. Yeah, I'm
they
sure.
they have their own. I'm sure nonprofit.
Of course, that's the Ronald McDonald House, so the McDonald one makes sense. That
There may be some little, wise asses out there trying to do that and get sympathy from people to get money, which is completely bullshit. If you know anybody doing that, let me know. I'd love to tear into their ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, these bigger companies, I'm certain they do. I'm certain that money goes where it should. And maybe not,
Well, I hope so.
maybe not little bits at a time. It's probably monthly or quarterly or maybe,
Oh, yeah.
semi-annual or something where, they build up a big chunk and then they have a ceremony a lot of times and they'll show, do the big check. But it's good for the business.
Because I think Circle K is one that does it a lot.
Circle K does. I don't know what it
Ask you to round it to the next
Yeah.
dollar, and
And you fill out the card and put your name on it and hang it up.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but
A cashless society,
I don't necessarily agree with it. Sometimes I just want to have a stack of cash in my hand. There's something about holding a wad of cash.
I get your point, but there's something with me about holding a wad of cash that says we about to go out and buy something.
Well, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, but if I don't have the wad of cash in my pocket, in my hand, I'm a lot less likely to run and be like, okay, let me go.
So you're different than me. You're different than me.
If I got the cash, we trying to spend it.
I don't want to spend it.
See, that's not.
I don't want to spend the cash. I want to hold it as long as I can. It's when I'm not using cash that I'm just like, shit, I can afford it.
No.
And then next month my wife is bitching at me, coming to me with a spreadsheet. What the fuck is this? What is this? What is this?
rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, I can admit when I fuck up, but if I've got $100 in cash, I'm gonna try to hold on to that as long as I possibly can.
See, that never works for me.
I guess they were just different in that.
Yeah, that's different because when I got cash, we're spending. Let's go buy. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to pull out my debit card and use my debit card. That's the way I look at it. So it's the opposite for me. I'd rather spend the cash, and I'm gonna spend it. If I can look at it and I can look at it and imagine what each one of them $20 bills could go to.
Yeah. I mean, I've researched this quite extensively, and I just can't. I don't see a positive or a negative to it. I personally don't want a cashless society, but I couldn't find anything that says that it would hurt us as a nation or help us as a nation.
Yeah.
Everything I've read and videos I've watched are all pretty neutral on it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, leave your comments in the video if you feel differently or you'd like to see it one way or the other, or if you've got other information that we should probably read up on and get a little bit of smarts on it. But it's just, I'm no financial guru, by any means, but the research that I did do, I couldn't find anything that where one outweighs the
It's
other.
going to be a terrible idea. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, how is the world going to be in 5 or 10 years? You know, in what we tend to feel because of our views or outlook is that we are not going to be in a good spot. So and from the actions of this government, we're not going to be in a good spot. So when you put us in a cashless society, does that then allow you to control how we are able to spend our money? Because we don't have cash in our pocket, in our hand.
Well, and I can
in order
see
to,
a lot of traceability.
Yeah.
Right.
So when the shit hits the fan and money is somewhat of a commodity and there's no cash to be found, but you need cash to purchase something, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah, you're very true. I mean, that's very true. And now that I'm thinking about it, there is that traceability by using your cards.
Yeah.
Sometimes there might be something I just don't want nobody to find out I bought. Not drugs, ladies and gentlemen, not drugs. But although I am sure drug dealers would not appreciate a cashless society. I'm not lobbying for drug dealers by any means. But there may be a situation where, if... Yeah, I have different accounts. I share all my accounts with my wife, right? She can see everything I buy. How the fuck do I buy her a gift and her not know about it?
Yeah.
Right? How do I do that?
You either have a separate account on the side so that you can do things like that, which is, God forbid you get caught doing that, and then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Or you have to have cash in order to buy something so that she doesn't know about it.
So I don't, and I don't have separate. She knows, trust me, I'm transparent with that shit because I'm horrible with accounting. And
Yeah.
she's wonderful and does a hell of a job. But sometimes I need cash. I just need a, no evidence transaction other than the receipt that's in my pocket.
Yeah.
So that she doesn't know,
Yeah. It makes sense. So, yeah, I cashless society, I feel like maybe down the road would be some type of control issue. The government being able, because I mean, look, if they can have Bank of America just fork out information that they're not supposed to fork out, I mean, that just shows the government controls a lot of things that,
Well, it's similar to the what was it, Verizon or AT&T, whatever that horse shit was.
Oh, yeah.
Turning over data left and right. I mean, what are you supposed to do? That's your biggest carriers in the world.
And you and I, if you and I had the data stolen or the information given out, what do we get to say? Who's going to talk to us to,
Yeah. And nobody gives a shit about us. All they're worried about is information.
So, yeah. I mean, I guess I would not. I would say I would not want to go to a cashless society. Because I feel like I said, it'd be a commodity at some point. Maybe not like it's worth, not saying that, the dollar's worth more.
Right.
But to have it and be able to do things like you said makes more sense than to not have it.
Well, and that, remember, not everyone in America accepts American Express or Visa.
This is true.
There's a lot of businesses out there that, in California, a lot of them don't take cards.
But it's a way for them to force these businesses into these big contracts with these companies for using credit cards and accepting and sliding, and they got to buy all the systems to run it and all that shit. Exactly.
There's stores in California, chain stores, not I'm sure mom and pops, but there's chain stores that do not take credit cards.
Well, you can't
because the fees are too goddamn high.
You can't put California in this.
Well, now they're kind of. I'm just. Can we just
unitard?
Yeah. Can we just go down there with a shovel and go ahead and just separate? Just half.
Yeah.
Just half of California.
Chop them off
from. There's some good ones out there.
Let them float out there.
But no, they literally won't take cards because the fees are too high, and they you go in there to buy a cup of coffee for $1.80, they may end up paying 80 cents.
Yeah.
And then what? they're relying on that extra
Yeah.
80 cents. That's their profit on the cup. You know, so
Well, where it used to be, you had to spend, most stores you had to spend a certain amount.
yeah, $5.
That's going away. And, there's a lot of times where I go, I do a lot of driving around. So I stop at convenience stores probably 4 or 5 times a day, getting something to drink or something. And there's sometimes I go in there and I don't really carry cash. I can't remember the last time I had some in my pocket, So I go in the store and then I'm like, man, I only really wanted this $1.38 drink.
I know that feeling.
And I have to, give them my card, and they don't say anything about it anymore.
No,
It's
they-
like
they
the minimum went away, and I try not to do that. So usually I try and grab something else to like make it at least like $4 or $5 that I'm spending with them to cover a little bit of that cost for running it. But
I feel bad. All the driving I do across the country, I'll stop at Love's or Pilot for a fucking cup of coffee, and then I feel like a dipshit using my card to get a cup of coffee for $1.50. But it's unfortunately it's the way.
So even
everybody has kind of trended that way.
Yeah.
To just use your card. But I still think cash needs to remain.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that, I guess. After thinking about it, it just makes sense. I should probably carry 10 ones in my truck for those instances so that I don't, have to do that.
Yeah, I used to back in the day. I'd keep, $25 or $30 cash hidden up under the dash of my truck, just in the case of an emergency. If I needed it or if I needed gas and I was, I was fucked or whatever. I used to do that. I've gotten away from it, but.
Yeah, so any information on a cashless society and the pros and cons of it, that would be great, because
we can definitely circle back to
look
this
into it
and talk about it some more.
That's it for cashless society and them fuckers over at Bank of America. I don't know what the hell their problem is.
Hey, I don't bank with them.
I don't bank with them.
I choose to live local.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
That's my
Bank local.
Yeah. Community credit unions and things like that. Damn all those.
Lower fees, less bullshit.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for a chance to win free gear. Don't forget to support us on Patreon and stop by the Freedom Muffin store for all your latest gear. Your support helps us put out the best content in America.